if you don't stop that behavior pathway, if the parent doesn't take an action to stop this, then we have adults who act this way, who believe this way, who something happens, they believe they've been slighted, they go into a bank and shoot people up.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting but rainy morning here in Raleigh, North Carolina at ASD Expo 2024. I'm sitting here with my brother, George Wilkins. George is a very special person to me. I met George right here last year, and to say it had an impact from the immediate, him and I just clicked. It was like, as you know, Forrest Gump was like peas and carrots. We just go together. There's something about it. George has a way when you're around George of just making you feel just good, just making you feel at ease. I don't know where it comes from. Like there's a lot of people here that have that effect, but George is just, it's something different. And George, how are you this morning, man?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
I am super good.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting about washed away in the mountains,
Yeah.
but you know, all you can do is rebuild. But,
yeah. It's crazy here. Like there's a lot of rain here. There's a hurricane that's obviously hitting the coast, and then it's having an effect coming up here into North Carolina and stuff, right? And what's amazing is people up here, they're a little bit worried about what's going on at home, but they're not worried like I guess what I would expect people to be worried. It's like they're almost like they just know. Like we were talking last night with Lucas and Lucas's father, and he just keeps saying it's going to be all right. You know, you were talking just a minute ago what you've been up to. You were helping a gentleman out last week.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of telling you about our schedule. Me and Kamara, we're super busy, but we do a lot of volunteer work with the church. And I was telling you, it's Peace Mountain Ranch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a ranch out in Tennessee, and it's just beautiful country. And he's got like 8 or 10 acres, but the farmers around there has a total 100 acres, and they've given him access to walk the trails and hang out on the land.
Yeah.
And so Peace Mountain Ranch is a veteran-owned ranch. Harvey, really great guy. He was in Iraq, and he had some ankle surgery. He's got a carriage house that needs to be finished with the tile and the trim and all that. And our church came together. I think 8 or 10 guys went in there and done some work a couple months ago. That's when I met him, and came back, and he needed some weed eating done. So me and some guys done some weed eating around the farm. And then now he's got tile laid, and we all came together and done the grout on the tile and got it looking good. And then me and my dad's going to follow up with some trim work. He said he'd like to have it done by Thanksgiving, and we told him we was going to make that happen for him.
Yeah.
It's
You stay busy, so you're still at Lucas's at L&N?
Yep, I am. Lucas's in the evenings. We go up on the mountain, the beach mountain. We service hot tubs. We eat the yards. This time of year, I'll start blowing the leaves off the driveways.
Yeah.
And then in the winter, we'll start shoveling snow off the steps and putting salt down. And it's the Airbnbs.
We had a beautiful dinner, all of us last night with Lucas at the Chop House here. And I mean, just like I'm sitting next to George, and it's just, I'm not, like, it's so cool because when around here lately, a lot of people got a lot of things to say to me, and it makes me feel really good. So sometimes I want to hang out with Lucas because people want to talk to Lucas.
Right.
And then it takes some pressure off me. But I mean, pressure maybe isn't the right word, but it's just like, it's nice to see people like want to hear from Lucas instead of what's the Jaded mechanic doing, right? And, but it's so, you know, you talked about like this morning, you said to me we had some good fellowship last night. And you know, it's starting to sound like a broken record for me, but it's like when I come to these events now, that's what I feel. That didn't really have a word for it before. You feel good, but it's fellowship, man. Like it really is. Like I feel like I'm with family. Right. And that's weird, right? Because I'm not related to any of them.
Right.
But you know, like my brother George, you know, my brother Lucas, my brother Eric, like my brother Noah, like it, they're just, I come away from this feeling so much better. And not that my life's not bad. Not even close, man. Like I'm blessed beyond for what I've been given and where people have pointed me, and I just kind of blindly go along and trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to be around these people that are so uplifting and positive, I come home completely, you know, recharged to go face the world, go face the job, right?
Yeah. So we need the ASTA like 3 or 4 times a year then. right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Like if we could do this every 3 months, dude,
Right.
I think there'd be no limit to what we could achieve.
Yeah.
How good like everybody would feel.
Yeah.
It is too bad that it's like so far away from where I live, and that it is only once a year. But like,
But
this,
it is an awesome thing, right? To have
Oh.
at the kart track, they said
Yeah.
it was like 300 and something people.
Yeah.
Not the first ill attitude,
No.
none whatsoever. The whole day yesterday, everybody smiles
Yeah.
and just happiness, and that's great, dude.
Yeah.
Like you just don't get that every day.
And that's you talk about, and I know Lucas's shop. I've never worked there, but I kind of know everybody pretty good now that works there, and I hang out there when I can come and visit, and there's that vibe in that shop, right? Like that the culture there is just like you guys cut up on each other all day long, right? You're talking about the modified fly swatters that like Lucas had to make. So it's like, give somebody a paddle on the butt with a fly swatter electric and they get a good jolt.
Yeah.
Like the kind of, we all face every day a lot of stress of getting stuff done and figuring out these cars and making sure that they're perfect. Like that's your job, you're the quality control guy, right? But the fact that he makes time to just be like everybody's a bunch of brothers, and ribbing on one another and everything, that's that's the kind of the way you treat your people like that. That'd be like, it wouldn't matter, if he gets into hardship, we're all there together for him, right? We know what he's gone through in the last little bit there, losing his mom, and some other things going on, and it's all family stuff.
Yeah.
But I can see when we were talking last night how he feels like it's no big deal, and I'm going to get through it because I'm sitting here with people that prop him up, and everybody is so anxious to prop him up and prop you up because of how good he is at it, right? He lifts you up, lifts me up. It's amazing. To meet people like that just every day wake up, and that's their only goal for the day, to make somebody else's day better, man.
And you genuinely feel it. It's not like a skit.
No.
Or you genuinely feel it in your heart, not just, it's not just words.
Yeah.
And then the actions on top of the words prove.
So things are going good at the shop. You're enjoying it.
Yeah. Your update. Last year I'd seen you when we was here. I'd been there a hot month.
Yeah.
And here I am a year later, still a single guy, happy to death about that.
Yeah.
Saving some money, but yeah, the shop is we got some changes coming up. We've got some new people that came in. Justin, how me and you connected. We've not really got to sit and talk with each other since he started.
Mm-hmm.
But we rode together down here 3 hours, never stopped
talking
1 minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like the connection. And he's just a down to earth guy.
Yeah.
And then we got a manager coming in November, and definitely gonna be a change, for us, but it's for a good change.
Yeah.
Lucas definitely needs to take something away out of his life that help him to mellow out a little bit.
Yeah.
And and as he said, if something happened to him, he wants the shop to continue on.
Yeah.
Like no doubt about it. So
I think he's had a real kind of realization about our own mortality. You know what I mean? With losing his mom, because it kind of happened fast. God bless her, right?
Right.
And I got the chance to meet that lady, and she just, something, the way she carried herself, the smile, she just, she touched my heart, and you can see it. She just would have had a birthday there a little while ago, and like to be remembered the way she is, and so fondly.
Yeah.
And I think that was something for Lucas to realize, that it's like, it could all go away tomorrow.
Exactly.
And what is going to be my legacy now? He's already built himself a legacy on how he is and who he's been, how he's treated people. But it's bringing that business up to where it's like, if something should happen to me, I want people and key players in place for it to go on. And I think that's amazing, and it's not a situation of like he's struggling. It's just a situation of, it's like he knows at this point he can take some time away from it and let it do what it does. He's guided everybody to be like, this is how it has to be, and let them go, because you see him, right? I tease him. It's just like, he's a micromanager. He's not a micromanager, but it's like he has such a passion for this industry and such a passion for his own business and I think we should all. But it's funny to me when I see other people or talk to other shop owners, and it's like, they work hard in it. They have built it from something. But I've seen lots of shovelers, they don't have the passion for that business that they built anymore. And he does. I don't think he'll ever not have it. And even if he starts to take time away from it, I think he'll always be, it'll be right at the forefront of what he's doing every day, is to make people have a better day,
right?
And build that business up. So
well, like I think I may have spoke with you yesterday a little bit about it, but like he helps a lot of people daily.
Yeah.
That phone stays ringing.
Yeah.
People ask him questions. He helps with troubleshooting. That's how he's wired, to help. And so on top of a business owner, has also a family business at Mr. Hill. He deals with that. Then all the people and that's what he chooses to do.
Yeah.
Because that's who he is.
Yeah.
But definitely having him be able to step away from the shop a little bit, that would free him up some time. And he really wants to get out with his family.
Yeah.
And get a motor home and travel around.
Yeah.
And he deserves that. Him and his family deserve
for
every
sure.
bit of that.
And you're not going to see him dial back where I don't think he's going to be events like this. But he wants to get to where it's like the family can come along on a couple of them, right?
Yep.
And that's what he needs that motorhome for. And I mean, what a series that would be to watch them go up and down across the country, right? Like,
it's going to happen. And I'm excited for him and his family to do that, because they, he's put a lot into the business, a lot, and he puts a lot in everything he does.
Everything in life, like it's he, you hear me talk, like he pours more into people. He pours more into people than I've ever seen anyone else do.
He picks a different. There's one day, Wednesdays, we all go to lunch as a team, but during the week he'll grab somebody from the shop. Hey, let's go to lunch, guy. Hey, let's go to lunch, George, and he'll talk. He said, hey, so what's the update, or what are you doing? What's your plans?
Yep.
Or why haven't you done this yet?
Yeah.
And he really cares. And he'll give the best advice he feels on his heart, and it's just a great thing. And just being there this year has really helped me. I was pretty broken last year, September. It was still kind of fresh with the divorce and all, and just being in that structure. And I walk in the shop, and everybody, hey Jorge, hey, good morning, and everybody just gets doing their thing. Even in the moments when the cars or parts are not coming in, or vehicles, or everybody's getting frustrated, but not frustrated with each other. And a week or two ago, I come in there and I got inside my head for a day or two about some things in my personal life, and I was like growling a little bit, and Eric's like, "What's up, man?" And I cussed a little bit and fussed and stormed off, kind of venting. And then I went over, and it was kind of in the morning, and I went out to wash a car or something. I came out, I said, "Dude, I'm sorry." He's like, "What you talking about, man?" I said, "Dude, I don't need to start negative out this morning. Like, I don't need to be that. I don't want to be that guy." He hugged me, dude. And he hugged me really. He's like, "No, man, you need to get it out. That's what I'm here for."
That's
but
right.
I was like, at the same time, I'm sorry, because I didn't mean to bring that, especially at first thing in the morning, But he just hugged me, squeezed me, and pat me in the butt, and
back to doing it.
But it's helped that structure and just the friendship of everybody there. They don't even know how much that's helped me. Throughout the year. My little youngin', she's doing really good. She likes to play softball. It's the only sport I try to get her in others. She likes softball a lot.
And you take her out in the woods once in a while?
Actually, this year is the first time she's been going with us. My nephew's 19. He's always hunted with me, but never was the hunter. So now he's got his hunt license. I gave him my crossbow and gave him my muzzle loader. So we're going to hopefully get his first deer this year. But she's been sent out in the woods, and that connection we was talking about yesterday, fishing and hunting, and the connection of Mother Nature and God in the woods is, if you haven't done it, it's hard to explain it or understand it. But that peace and serenity, you just can't get anywhere else. And I want my youngins and my nephew to see that and feel that, and be able to release. Like, if they're there's nothing, no responsibilities, but to sit there and be still and quiet, and maybe read a book and listen. I was telling you yesterday, there's an owl hooting one over here, over there, the woodpecker on the tree, and the squirrels running, rustling through the leaves. And you think a deer might be coming, you get all excited, and a little squirrel pops out. You know what I mean? But and Kamara done pretty good to sit still for a 9-year-old. But it's really gonna get real November when we break out the muzzleloaders. So she wants the video Billy getting his first deer, so she's gonna be a little video.
That's awesome.
Drill. But and she comes to work with me every once in a while when she has a day off for school, and she's all about cleaning cars too. Now that kid right there, she wants her half and my half, and I can't get on her side.
Right.
Leave it alone.
Isn't that awesome?
And,
Like,
I was checking the oil, and she wanted to learn how to do that. And when she checked it, she'd pull it out and turn the dipstick up. I said, no, you got to keep it level or downhill to accurately check it.
Yeah.
Then after that, though, I couldn't check the oil. She had to
do it every time.
So independent. But it's
awesome,
good that
dude.
they need to know these things. You know what I mean? When we do hot tubs in the evenings, she knows what chemicals. She knows put the test strip in and check. I don't let her do the chlorine because it could burn her. But she's like, Dad, you stand right here, and I'll go check. I'll flip the lid and check this hot tub. So she's definitely skilled at different things for a young child.
And that's life skills, man. And it's work ethic and being reliable and being there for people and putting that day's sweat in, right, to get the result. Like, that's all stuff that is being lost on a lot of people now. And I think you're raising an amazing little girl.
Yeah, church cookouts, she has to serve food, and they love it because the ladies, just the only kid that'll volunteer. Yeah, and all the other kids will play, and she wants to serve the food, and they love her. They just think it's the coolest thing. Yeah. I got a great family, man. I got a great life.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Like, I mean, we were sitting there last night and kind of Scotty, and his wife and things with what she's got. Cancer, it's not going to get better. Right. And we're kind of rounding a corner with that situation, and you could feel it in the room how it was like it wasn't a positive thing to talk about. But everybody, there was like a peace within there of everybody. And I mean, Scotty's not here, right? He's with her right now. But I could feel it in the room where everybody was just like of acceptance. Yeah. And that's tough. It really is, because we hate to see people suffer, and it don't make sense. I was saying she's my age, right, and has fought this battle now with cancer for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And it's, and I can remember being here last year, just before here, we were talking about how it had come back to her and it was not doing well. And because I'd seen her on the 4th, right? I'd been there when Lucas did the celebration on the 4th, not last year, but 2022 or 2023, excuse me, the 4th. And what a lovely lady she was and is. But that was the last time I got to see her. And then to know that, like, she's struggling with what she is now, and you just like, it doesn't make sense. Braxton and I had a good conversation last night. We were talking, and this is the first time I met Braxton in person. Now, Braxton's very involved with what goes on with this podcast and everything, but of course, we started having a conversation about faith like you and I had. And, without getting into the deep, deep stuff, it's just like, I'm asking, well, there's a lot of things that don't make sense then from a faith standpoint. Why is she? And then there's other people that have done way terrible things, and they don't seem to be stricken. And Braxton reminds me that it's like, we're not supposed to know why. We're not supposed to understand why. That
would be my answer too.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, I think about that too. I lost it was a lady that was a friend of my ex-wife's family, but she looked out for my middle child when I was in prison and all that. And I got out, and within 2 years, she was diagnosed with some brain cancer, I think. Yeah. 2 years, she was gone. And this lady went hard for Jesus. Yeah. In the church. Yeah. And she walked that life. She lived it all the way. You know what I mean? And, I had some questions about it and still do, man. Because, it's, and that's exactly the correct answer that, even stated in the Bible that you were not made to understand everything. Yeah.
Braxton asked me, and he's like, well, what do you think it might be? And I said, I want to think that it's like, because I'm getting older, people around me, I'm losing them. And I see people's mortality coming. I see my stepfather, and it's like, he's been my stepdad for a long time now. In my head, he's still what he was at like late 40s. He's 80 something now. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, we don't update that mental picture sometimes of what he's a little slower. He don't hear me as well as he used to. Right. Not that he ever did, but he hears even less. But but there's still that fire. But then, like Braxton said, he's like, what do you think it might be? What heaven might be? And I said, what I hope it is that everybody that's already gone before me, all of a sudden they just see them again. They reconnect with them again. And I can give them a hug, and I can share the fact that it's like, they're going to tell me how proud of what I am, what I've done. And, you know, I'm going to think about, like, they've already been watching what I've been doing. But to be able to hear them say, man, you turned out well. You did amazing things. I never thought you would get to where. That's what I hope to be able to. And then I said to Braxton, I said, if it's all like 1 second, and then whatever, it goes dark or whatever, and the room is done, and that's the whatever it is, I'm good with that, man. To be able to see everybody, see my grandparents again, you know, to see my dad again. That I don't have to be streets of gold and you know, I don't, just to be able to hug them again. That would be heaven for me. You know, and that's we get into some deep conversations when we come up here. Like, we're watching go-karts running around the track, and Braxton and I are talking about that kind of stuff. You know, because it's like, I mean, people here are so comfortable to just talk about their faith and what they believe and everything else. And it's like, and I've told people before, I'm a man that I'm not really still sure what I believe. I know I believe in him, right, for sure. But if can I put it into a little box and say that I fall within this religion and this is who I, you know, no, man, no. I just wake up every day now and I try to be a little bit kinder to people than I was the day before. People like you, people like Lucas have put that back into me. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. Some days I slip and I let, like you said, I get in my own head. I get frustrated with things. I don't walk the line that I'm supposed to walk in terms of how I want to treat people, and because it all, life gets into us, right? Yeah. But when I come down here, man, I feel again like I gotta go and just like sometimes bite that tongue, don't lash out, keep your head on straight, and think about how can I make the situation better? How can I make that person's day better? You know, and in this industry, that's just really what it's all about. It's not about, yeah, you want to make the customer's day better, for sure. It's already a crap day for them, right? Right. But if I can ease their mind and then show them that they're special to us, then the car thing doesn't even become all that important. You know, whatever's wrong with their car, it's the fact that it's like you're genuinely touching someone. You're genuinely showing interest and compassion and care. Yeah. Yeah. So
I get a little jealous seeing those baths you have on Facebook.
It's not been a good year for me. Like, I mean, a good year is like, it's not about the number, right? It's kind of the size. And like you and I were talking yesterday that we had some funky weather in the spring that kind of changed how the weed growth went. And then, the fish are not where they're supposed to be. Right. And they're not, even if there's some fish there, last year the big fish were there. And this year, it's like you're fishing. We call it all the time, we're fishing in the nursery. We're just catching the little ones, right? And like some days I get on myself where it's like, I've been out there all day and I only caught 10. And they were all little. And then I talk to other people and I'm like, you caught 10?
That's a pretty good day, dude.
That's a pretty good day.
Yeah, right.
But I'm always like, I want to catch 20 or 30. Or if I want,
lunker is what I call it.
Yeah,
catch the lunker.
I want to catch the great big mamas, you know. Yeah. But that's, you got to remember, you can go out there and put your time in, but you can't make that big fish bite. You just have to be the right place, the right time. And that's what it is. The big fish are a gift. The big fish are not like, and yes, the technology's there where we're learning that the fish don't really move around a whole lot as much as we used to think. So if you go and catch that big one, like there's a spot along this one stretch. It's on a piece of property that my uncle owns. And it's not an island, but it's the shoreline. And there's a tree there that's been in that water for 25, 30 years, easily. Probably closer to 40 years, that tree's fallen in that water. Man, every time I go to that tree and throw my bait in, at least a 3.5 or 4 pounder is caught off that tree every time. That tree, I literally I can go there and I know I'm going to catch one good one today off that tree. And I joke because it's like my grandmother had a stroke when I was 9 and paralyzed and never spoke again. She lived another 30 years for that. She used to fish right around that tree when I was a kid.
So it's even more special.
So when you see me posting about like grandma's tree had another good one on it, right? And I go past it because it wouldn't matter if the fish didn't bite there. I'm going to go past that tree every time just because when I go past that tree, there's the mental picture of her in our little paddle boat holding up a fish that she caught off that tree.
That's awesome.
In like 1982.
Man,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, that's the joke, grandma's tree. And everybody that knows me knows exactly what tree it is because I've showed it to them. People that have never bought and fished with that lake with me, they're like, who's grandma's tree? What's that all about? I just look at it as like when grandma's putting that there for me. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She doesn't have to guide me there, but I put that fish back every time. I don't take it home.
Right.
And have I caught the same fish off that tree? Nope. It's a different fish every time. But somebody up there is making sure, I think it's her, is making sure there's always a good one on there for me. So.
I look forward to this spring. I got me a little 14-foot John boat now. I call it my kayak. I'm Big George. So I needed something pretty good size. But fishing and hunting, but I really like to fish.
Yeah.
And I've not gotten to do it in several years. And I promised Kamara we'd do it this year. We didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
We fished a little bit at the beach, but I'm looking forward to fishing season.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while, and I just ready to get on the river and float. We got a river that's close by that we float.
So when you say your fishing season, like what is it ever actually closed up here? Or
trout season.
Trout season. I
think you fish in the river year round.
Right.
But we have trout creeks that are hatchery supported.
Okay.
Some of them are catch and release, and some of them are you can keep them. So, but we got a main river. It's called the New River. I think it's the oldest river in U.S. I think
maybe
I can't remember, but it's got a couple pretty good history facts about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking forward to that and taking Kamara. She's never like floated on the river. So.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing when you take a kid, eh? Like it's absolutely what it does for kids. Sometimes I forget, and it's like I'm complaining. I only caught 10. They go and catch one, and all of a sudden it's just like you can see. And my mom was telling me last week they went to some friend's cottage, and they have a grandson, and the grandson's sitting there, and he sits on that dock and fishes from when the sun comes up in the morning until they have to like drag him off there and put him to bed.
Right.
And my mom just laughs because she goes, I had 2 that were like that.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep him off the water.
I used to be that kid too.
Yeah. Morning, Lucas.
Don't let him lie to you. He's never caught a fish a day in his life.
Listen.
All those pictures are some fish somebody else caught. Okay. It wasn't him.
That's been accused, but I mean nobody's proven that.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Now, have I been in a boat and the other guy caught it and I held it up? I might have.
Yeah.
But I've extended the same.
There's this guy named Greg, and he said that all those fish he caught.
So you're on your phone a lot. He's almost on his phone as much as you. But he's got that innate luck where you're like he'll be out in the boat.
Yeah.
And he'll put his rod in the water, and he'll just pick up his phone, and you see the rod go like that. And it's like, you bugger.
He said that you get really upset about it. He said you just really do not like it when he's really performing at his peak.
I can't help but be competitive with him.
And he's got that look on his face. Look at him. I'm serious.
Now,
he changed up.
We've talked about him, right? Like, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
And, like, you don't want to tussle with him.
Yeah.
He'll hurt you bad.
Right.
So we don't ever do that anymore. But it's like, if I have to, I'll take him out in the lake and put him back in his place.
That's it. Just take him and threaten not to bring him back.
But I could catch 20 and he might catch one. His is normally the biggest one we catch that day. And it's just shit luck. And it drives you crazy. Because that's
not what he said. He said it's just really he's the more skilled brother.
He's using my friggin' rod, for God's sakes. I tied the bait on. I gassed the boat. I backed it in. He's just on his phone. And then all of a sudden, it's like we go to the first spot, and my arm will be already sore from flogging, trying to catch something. And he'll just throw it over in there, and then I got one, and then he goes right back to his phone. He'll tell you that he is there all the time, just to spend time with me. He don't care if he catches a fish or not.
Yeah.
That's how, and like we were talking about Grandma's tree just before you walked in here. Every time, like if he doesn't go much, but if he's like, can we go fish that lake? Sure. Now, I might fish that lake every weekend, and I know that I'm just going to that lake because I can catch like 10.
Yeah.
But I don't catch quality on that lake.
Yeah.
But if he says, can we go fish that lake? Sure. Because then we're just going around that point, and it isn't about like, I'm going to catch a fish off this point. It's like we're going to have that conversation. He's going to say, you remember when we used to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Those are powerful conversations, and they're important conversations. And you know, I think as we age, we begin to see more and more that there's only a limited amount of time to have those conversations.
Well, that's
right.
And you know, George and I were just talking about what you want to do moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you because, like, how are you going to do that? Because, like, I joke with you all the time that it's like you're so invested every day. This is not just, you're not just a business owner in the sense that it's like, I built it and I take pride in it and I want to make sure it's successful. You're like emotionally invested in everybody that you contact every day at such a level that I'm like, I'm not sure Lucas is going to be able to, like, I'm dying to see how that works for you.
You know, I don't plan to fully disconnect.
No.
But in the same respect, and my parents were both happy, right? But in the same respect, I watched them work. I mean, 3 weeks before my mom was put in the hospital, she was at work, right?
Crazy.
And my dad's still working every single day. And I respect that, and I think that's a good thing. But in the same respect, I also know that I need to make time for my family, right? Now, Jeff, here's the big thing, is that, and I don't see this as necessarily a weakness, but I care so much that it weighs really heavy on me.
I know.
And I have to put something between me and it for my own personal well-being.
I've sensed that.
Because if things aren't going well, it eats me up, right? I wake up and I see, dude, it doesn't even have to be a bad Google review. It can be a 5-star. And I wake up and I see that Google review and I feel my heart beating out of my chest, right?
Yeah.
Because I care about each one of my clients and I don't want them to have a bad experience. No. And so I've found in the past, I had somebody who kind of took this role in the shop in the past, and I found that it allowed me the proper level of disconnect, that I could still enjoy life, and I could take off and go somewhere with my family without thinking about every second of the shop, right?
Yeah.
And that's important because without me right now, I'm the wagon wheel hub of the shop again, right? Before, I had it kind of spread out to where there were multiple people who could do the thing. And so I'm trying to get back to the point that if I'm not there, it's not destructive for them.
Yeah.
Because right now, if I leave, the stress level has to go up because they're all trying to figure out where does the load go, right? Remember the Billy Ray Taylor video I shared a while back? And he was talking about, well, the bird lands on the branch. Does he trust his wings or does he trust his branch? Yeah. And he said, well, I've never seen a bird die because the branch fell. Right. No, he just flew off.
That's right.
And so I need to make sure that they have their wings ready. I need to make sure that they're capable of flying on their own. Yeah. So I don't hang them out to dry if I have to go somewhere, if something happens to me.
Yeah.
The other side of that is that while it is that important to me and I do care about the business very heavily, if something happens to me, I could pull out tomorrow and get hit by a car.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, my family has to depend on that business. My team has to depend on that business.
Yeah.
And so I can't set them up for failure and not have a contingency plan that there's other people in place because these people depend on this operation to make them whole.
Yeah.
And so the only reason that I would ever continue to do this and it just be me would be for selfish reasons.
Yep.
It wouldn't be serving them. It wouldn't be serving my family. It would be because I'm selfish and I want complete control and I'm unwilling to let somebody else look at it and say, maybe I see something better.
Yeah.
Right? And so if I just turn away from it and say, hey, I'm not – and look, the dangerous thing, the problem that happens in repair shops when this comes up, Jeff, is that the owner is so pressured and has so much stress on them that the moment that somebody who can halfway run the business comes in, that stress and pressure comes off of them. So what do? They say, here you go, bye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's an unhealthy relationship with the business. So now you look at the business and you're like, no way, man. I'm just not even going to go back over there.
Yeah.
I don't even want to see that.
Yep.
I'm just going to let them do their thing. Meanwhile, they think that, well, this is how I ran the business, so therefore that's how they're running the business. And the team's getting tortured and the things are falling apart, and then they end up right back where they started, right? That's a dangerous scenario.
Yeah.
Whereas at least if you have a plan and you're involved with it and you're seeing what it's doing every single day, right? Now, and George will tell you this. George has seen this, and it's going to hurt some feelings when I say this. I'm not afraid to hurt feelings. We are a very open team, and we talk about our weaknesses. We talk about our failures. We talk about things that don't go the way we want them to go, right? We're blunt.
Yeah.
And you know, they tell me that I'm intense, right? And it's taken Noah a while, because Noah, for the longest time, when I would say something, he would like take it uber serious.
Yeah.
And it's taken Noah a while to realize that, hey, I'm venting, or hey, this is how I feel in this moment, or like, hey, let's take all the badges off our uniforms, lay them in the middle of the table, and say there is no rank here.
That's right.
Let's fix the problem.
Jocko.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we just throw it in and say, let's go with it. But there is a component in the shop right now, and you know this because we've talked about it. George knows this because he's seen it firsthand. Yeah. There's a component where some people are comfortable, right? And I'm happy to talk about it, right? They are comfortable, and they don't necessarily respect the opportunity. That's not coming from a place of arrogance.
No.
That's not coming from like, hey, they're a problem, they're a bad person. I created this.
Yeah.
I did this.
Yeah.
Okay? And what scares me about that is not what it does to me.
Right.
Okay? What scares me about that is what it does to
you
them.
and I have talked about that, though, because it's like, well, our good friend that they just had their technician in 20 years that was, you know, and they love that man.
Yeah.
They loved him. He was a core person. We talked about in the drive over last night.
Yeah.
The person that had to fire him was mentored by him.
Yeah.
It would be very similar where, and I remind everybody we were talking about last night, there's a young lady here. We were talking to 1 o'clock. I said, right now, any one of us can, as a technician, you land on your feet.
Yeah.
You'll have another job tomorrow if you want another job.
Yeah.
But you have to appreciate where you are at the time and see it for what it truly is.
Yeah.
It's a gift, that particular business. Not everyone is that way, right? I'm the shining example of people that have worked for people that didn't value me, didn't value themselves, right? Didn't value what we did, didn't value what we offer to the people that see us every day. That's key. It's just a job at that point.
Yeah.
But to really have what you provide for people, if they're not appreciating it, if they're not getting it, it makes me want to grab them and shake them and say, you're screwing it up, man.
Well, you know, here's the thing, Jeff, is that I've watched my dad, right? And George, you speak to this. We've watched him over the years take people who did not deserve it, who shouldn't have had it, and pour it all out for them, right? We've seen it, hundreds of times?
Bunch of times, yeah.
And so we've seen him do this. And the problem is that you can go too far with that because it becomes enabling.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
It becomes
very enabling.
Yeah.
And it comes to the point that you've hurt them, right? And you know, there's a thing. It's Tony Dungy, the football coach, and I said this to Dutch a while back, and Dutch always brings it up. Yeah, because Dutch was being really opinionated about something.
No,
I know, right?
Not Dutch.
And he said, and I said to him, I said, let me tell you something. I said, I just want to tell you about this story. And it was Tony Dungy, and he was talking about his father fought in World War II, and he said, my dad was a slave. My dad did not have opportunities. My dad sat in the back of the bus. My dad didn't use the same water fountain.
That's right.
As the white folk in town, right? But my dad signed up in World War II to fight in World War II because he loved his country. And he said he was fighting to make it better. He was fighting to do something better. He wasn't holding a grudge. Yeah. He was saying, hey, if I want to make this better, if I want to do something about this, I have to do it, right? And he said, so fast forward to the 80s, and he said there's this national outcry, and he said my players all wanted to take a knee. Yeah. And he said, I went to my dad, and he said, Dad, what should I do? He said, son, is what you're doing going to help, or is it going to hurt? Now, that's a big thing, right? Because often we get a trajectory. We get in our mind, and we think this is the thing to do. We're going to do this. We're going to help. But we don't really think about the whole picture. We don't think about the consequences. We don't think about who we affect, how we affect them. We don't think about the long term. We think about this is how I feel right now. Yeah. right?
Yeah.
And so we make a decision. And then we do something for them, and we give, and we give, and we give, and we give. And now we gave a little bit. Now I'm committed to making them successful, so I have to keep giving, and I have to keep giving, and I have to keep giving, and I have to keep giving. And guess what? I've made a monster because this person's been handed everything. This person's been given free reign. There's no consequence.
Yep.
And when life has no consequence, buddy, let me tell you something. George, you've been through that. I'm just going to call it right out.
You talked this. We've had this talk.
Right, many times.
Lunchtime talks, yes, sir.
And so, you look at what George is going through, right? Really rough situation. Marriage issues, all this other stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
And I've said to George over and over again, this is not about hurting this person. This is not about not caring about this person. This is about if you want to help them, you have to have accountability.
Yeah.
If you want to help them, you have to hold them accountable to right and wrong, because that's the only way they grow.
It's such a tough conversation, though. Like, it really is. And my brother and I have those talks where it's like, it's about choices.
Yeah.
And it's about, like, keeping in control of you want to do something. And it probably is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
There's factors that say that is the right thing to do.
Yeah. But
we always have to look, what's the fallout? What's the consequence of doing it?
Every action has a reaction.
Yeah. And if you're good with it, if you're comfortable with it, you go ahead and do it. We don't see, our emotions the way we were built, right? If we're not, take a breath, think about what could possibly happen, and always think for the worst what could happen.
The two things that I'll tell you about that, right, is the first thing that I'm always on to George about, it's E plus R equals O. E doesn't equal O, right? The event doesn't equal the outcome.
Yeah.
The event plus the reaction equals our outcome, right? That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
And we talked last night. One of the things I learned from my dad is just because there's been an event doesn't mean that there's a required reaction.
Yep.
Right? We talk about the house in the 2008 deal where this pastor comes to him and says, "Hey, I want you to take all the debt from all this." I'm freaking out saying, "What in the world? Like, Dad, why would you do this?" Son, calm down. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like, don't stress it. Let's just let it play out. It is what it is. We're going to figure it out. Right? And it played out, and it worked out because he didn't react. He didn't overreact. He didn't sway it in one direction or another. He just let things play out.
Yeah.
And so if we recognize that we've had an event, this thing has happened, and we recognize that our reaction changes the outcome, what does that mean? It means we better slow the fuck down and think about what our reaction is.
Yeah.
Right?
And how many times I called you just a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and I say to you now, I'm like, you got to walk me back from the ledge here.
Yeah.
And you say to me, because you know me a long time now, you know exactly when you can hear it in my voice, where I am, and I'm frustrated, man, and I'm just like, it's all how I'm choosing. Most of what I'm contriving in the head, the way I feel, is all me. Somebody isn't putting that into me. I'm building it. But I've got to talk to you and say, I got to come back from here, because otherwise I'm going to go and make a mistake.
Well, look, I learned this. So I went through the anxiety thing, and I went through the counseling for anxiety, right? And going through that, I learned some really important things. And I learned that just because something is happening in my head, right? I remember when I was little, somebody would say something, and then I would think about what they were saying when they weren't in front of me. And I would think about how this person was acting. I was thinking about what they'd walk across the room and they'd talk to somebody else. They're talking about me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at George because I've seen somebody get like mighty wound up. Mighty wound up.
I knew it was coming. This is my weakness.
Yeah. And get like spun up into this ball of rage and frustration and fear and all of this stuff. And I'll sit him down and I'll say, "George, is any of that real? What do you mean? Like, let's think about this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about each one of these things that you're saying in your head. Did that happen? No, but it could.
Yeah, it could.
Oh, buddy, let me tell you something. It coulda, shoulda, woulda. I mean, like, that mentality has got many people killed, right? Because that person couldn't stop the emotional train.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's what I learned in cognitive behavior therapy. That's what I learned when I was going through my anxiety mess. You can't take a medicine to fix that.
No.
You have to retrain your brain to think differently, to see things differently, to hear things differently, and to learn to stop yourself. For God's sakes, it doesn't matter what somebody else is saying or doing.
Yep.
Right? When you're young, your parents say to you, it doesn't matter what they think about you. It doesn't matter that you don't have what they have. Listen, this is not rocket science. It's not that your parents are effing brilliant.
No.
It's just common sense.
Yeah.
And at the time, we don't listen to them. We're unwilling to hear what they have to say. But when we move into this role that we are out here on our own, right? They've learned that lesson, and they're trying to teach us before it becomes a thing.
But that scope when we're so young, the scope, we haven't lived enough. We haven't seen enough. We haven't been enough. We haven't been through enough. And it's like, I need those same sneakers as what that kid's got on because they're teasing me about my sneakers. And if I don't get those sneakers, it's going to eat at me until all I can focus on is the sneakers. But it isn't about the sneakers.
Right. But if you don't fix it, right? If you don't stop that behavior pathway, if the parent doesn't take an action to stop this, then we have adults who act this way, who believe this way, who something happens, they believe they've been slighted, they go into a bank and shoot people up.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like this thing happens because we couldn't regulate our emotion.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Jeff, look, if we can't get to a spot as human beings that we can be okay with whatever happens, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? I think about my daughter in the spelling bee. I think about the things that went wrong when building the building. I think about the things my dad's been through. I think about the things my mom went through. Right? Like I told you the story about my grandmother last night, that they irradiated her incorrectly. They came in and said, oh, she's going to be dead. And
I'm sitting there listening in the back seat going, that's amazing.
Right. And my grandfather looks at my aunt and my dad and everybody else in the family and says, we're not going to sue them. We're human beings. We make mistakes. Right? Now here's the thing. I've thought long and hard about that conversation. Thought, what was the logic behind it? He says, well, we're not the kind of people who do that. I think there was more. I think there was more intelligence to that
than just we're not that people. Yeah.
Right. Because what happens is we build this little grudge inside us. We build this little emotion inside us. The industry sucks. My boss sucks. This thing happened. Right. And we begin to ball it up, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The ability to look at something and say, that sucks. Life is not fair. Yeah, I need to let it go and keep trucking.
We poison ourselves, like that old adage, right?
Yeah.
If you keep wishing for somebody else, the bitter pill that is what will kill you. You will poison yourself with that.
Absolutely.
And that's, I used to love the idea of karma. And what I realized with karma is like, if you sit around hoping to see it happen, you're going to make yourself sick.
Oh, yeah.
But if you just like put faith in the fact that whatever it is what it is, que sera, sera, and you go about it, it happens. You might, all of a sudden somebody says, remember that guy that you worked for? Guess what happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, here's the thing is that what is forgiveness has nothing to do with them.
No.
Right? We'll lay in bed and ruminate over what somebody's doing, what somebody's thinking. I know somebody else that's been doing this. And so like we'll ruminate over what somebody's been thinking about us or what they might be saying. Oh, I'm mad at them. They don't even know.
No.
They're living rent free in your brain.
That's right.
And so now all of a sudden you're in this situation like, oh, man, I can't believe I'm mad about this. I'm upset. What does it do? It stops you from being a productive human being.
You don't move forward.
Yeah, it stops you from making choices that say, hey, I do not like where I'm at. Let's be somewhere different.
You put yourself in a box, and all of a sudden it's like I'm in this box, and I wanted to get just over there. Yep. And all of a sudden I can't get over there because I can't climb over this stupid wall. You are the wall. You put the bricks in, dumbass. Like, you're the one that built that wall.
I've tortured myself for years with that. Exactly that. I mean, people, just strangers might say a key word that it was off for me. And I would run that through my head for days. And like, I'll sit here and listen and see where I've came in the last year with some clarity and some maturity. And I have really tortured myself for some years.
Yeah.
Worrying about that.
And yet when I meet you, it's I get a sense of peace off him. You and I have talked about this even after I met you, and I didn't know you before last year. And there's a peace around you that I don't even think you put off, right? And so, like, yeah, we're all going through things, but realize that just like that's your own peace coming out. Well, don't necessarily put it out there and let everybody else take it.
Yeah, you ain't got it yourself.
That's right. Yeah, live in that, and that's what. I mean, I've gone through some things. I got a chip on my shoulder, and some days it makes me walk funny, and it's just a situation of it's like, but you, through your guidance, always is still saying to me, that's then, and this is now, and what are you going to do about now?
Yeah,
and take the lesson. I talk it all the time. Like the lessons in this industry, let other people do the hard ones. and take from them, learn it from them. Don't do it yourself. But so much we get in our own damn head. Yeah. And it's not necessarily even we're following the same path that they went to make the same mistake, but we're going to make the same mistake going down our own damn path.
When you're 17, 18, 19 years old, that little thing feels like the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Right. And until we begin to mature, and maturity does not happen automatically with age, right? Maturity comes with experience. Maturity comes with making some hard decisions. Right, maturity comes with saying, this is not working.
Yeah.
I need to do something different here. And so when we're 16, 17, 18 years old, the world seems like it's moving at a snail's pace, and it seems like everything is a big deal. You start getting into your 40s, and you realize, holy shit, this bad boy is flying by. And time is finite. But my time is not.
Yeah.
I am not immortal.
No.
I am going to run out of time.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to run out of time, I better take every step in my power right now to start getting to where I want to go.
Yep.
And if I don't know where I want to go, right? We talk about technicians. Oh, I'm not getting paid what I want. I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. Like, I hate to hurt feelings, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not what we're talking about.
Nope.
At the end of the day, you are where you are because of a choice that you made, okay? Now, let me tell you, I'll never forget. I was doing a webinar for Rick White one time. And I said, you are where you are today because of the choices that you made yesterday. Your decision, your best thinking got you here.
Yeah.
And some people got really upset.
Well, imagine your best thinking.
Your best thinking.
In your perspective, I couldn't be in a worse spot.
Yep. Exactly.
That's your best thinking.
That's
got
your
you there.
best thinking, right? And so, you know, when I started coaching with Rick, one of the first things he ever said to me was, it's like, hey, I just want to point out to you that you've been doing this for a while, and it ain't worked yet.
Yeah.
So if it ain't worked yet, I don't think it's going to. Can we try my way for a while? Like, let's see if we can do this different.
And that's real talk because it's the key word is my way there. Not your way, my way. Which is not to say that we're trying something different, though.
Yeah. No. And here's the thing, though, right, is when I talk about technicians and I say, you are where you are because of choices that you made. Look, I get it. We can't go back and fix those choices. And sometimes fate just fucking happens. And it sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that life doesn't throw bad things at you. The choice that you made was either to ruminate in that or take a step forward and get past it. Those are your options.
Yeah.
Right? And one stops and one goes. Which do you want to be?
Yep.
And so if you don't like where you're at, you have to take steps to get yourself somewhere different. You cannot just sit back and whine and bitch and moan and talk about why it's not fair and it's not right. Right? Remember the story about my daughter and the spelling bee?
Yeah.
Why did we do what we did? Well, because life fucking sucks sometimes. You don't always get what the fuck you want.
Yep.
And it's not always going to be okay. You got to get used to that.
Yeah.
You better understand that that is going to be life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you teach your kids, and if you take the approach in life that it's not going to be okay, you're just selling yourself short. Because all that potential that you had, all the opportunity you had to do something big in life just went the fuck out the window.
Yeah.
Because you gave up like a little bitch, right? Because you're going to die, okay?
Yeah.
Let me be real with all of you. You're going to fucking die. There's going to come a day and a time, and that time, every second you're alive is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week. It could happen 10 years from now. You don't have fucking time to waste on what somebody did and why it's not fair and it's not right and this industry sucks. If the industry sucks, for God's sakes, get the fuck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Go the fuck on. Nobody cares, right? Hate to hurt your feelings. Hate to tell you, you're not the thing that's making or breaking this fucking industry.
And what a bitter pill to swallow, because I've been in that chase where it's like, you know what? And I had to learn a long time ago that as good as I am, as good as I can be, it won't matter. If I am too much for them, I'm gone. And I'll go on to the next one, but I probably screwed it up really good when I was there because I couldn't see for what I had. And our friend that we talked about at Frog Pond, like he tells me about how it's like he has been to the bank with that man and sat there and said, I don't understand where all your money's going. You live in a double
single wide and
on a little scratch hen piece of shit ground with your wife and your mother-in-law, and where's the money going? We don't talk enough in this industry about, now not everybody gets to that level of involvement in what their people are actually doing, trying to see to help them. Now, he's not going to reach into his pocket and try to solve all that financial problems, but he's going to say, here's the guide. You've done it for your people.
Yeah.
If that person doesn't going to take it and use it, learn from it, you hit a point. And that's what it is. You've hit a point.
Well, look, we've got some folks that the story that I've coached through, and hey, man, why are you buying that? Like, that's ridiculous. Lowering my payment. No, you're not. You're lowering your monthly investment.
Yeah.
But you're increasing the amount of money you owe.
Yep.
Doesn't make sense. And look, if you knew how many years me and this little booger right here, and I sat there and said, hey, man, like, something is off here. Something is not right. First time he worked for me. We had some heart-to-heart talks, man. And I was saying, I'll never forget. I'm going to spill you dirty laundry right here for everybody to hear.
That's what we're here for, man.
I'll never forget the conversation. My wife was still working in the shop. It was before little Lou was born. And she came to me and she said, hey, I just think you should know. George had been paying off a credit card because he wanted to buy his wife something nice for Christmas. And he came in really upset today because she had filled that credit card all the way to the brim and he didn't know it. And so day after day, I listened to George say, I have no money. I have nothing to my name. I'm not earning enough. I need to get a different job so I can earn more. And he gets a different job and he earns more. And he says, I'm still just not making it. I can't get it together. And the whole time I'm sitting there saying, bro, something is wrong, right? Something is off. Something is not. And we go through life with people that we love and we don't have the hard discussions.
Yeah.
Right? And if we love them, this is not going to feel nice. If we love them, we have to have the hard discussions because we are their person.
Yeah.
And if something is wrong, we can't, and what I saw with George was he was constantly manipulated. Oh, no, it's not what you think it is. Oh, it's not this. Oh, it's not that. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's this. It's that. I'm going to tell you, if everybody in your life is looking at you saying, hey, man, your plane's on fire, right?
Yep.
You better damn listen.
The runway, I can see the runway.
Yeah.
It's on fire, but I just bank it and swerve and I'll be all right.
Right. Well, I mean, it's all about where your focus is at.
Yeah.
Right. We're focusing creatures. You think back about the story over the Everglades in 73, 740. I think it's 747, worst aviation crash in world history.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming over top of the Everglades. He lets his gear down. One gear light doesn't illuminate. And as he comes over top of the Everglades, they're looking and they're crawling down in the cargo compartment so they can see if the front gear dropped. And they don't understand. And the pilot is 100% focused on that 13-cent light bulb that's not illuminating and flies the fucking plane square into the ground because what was he focused on? He was focused on the fucking light bulb.
That's right.
Not where he was going.
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, right? What was George's problem? What did George miss? George didn't have a destination.
Yep.
George didn't know where the fuck he was going. It was day to day. I'm trying to survive. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to. Oh, well, see.
Wasn't even surviving though.
Yeah, but here's the problem, and here's what everybody fucking keeps doing that pisses me off to no avail. Right? Let's think about this. What are they doing? I can't survive. I can't make it. This won't work. It'll never work. I don't know what to do. Well, if all you can do is think about that and you don't have a destination, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need a destination. I'm never going to make it like this. Well, goddamn, with that attitude, you're not fucking going to.
That's right. Yeah.
But if you don't have a destination at all, if you don't know where you end up, then you're never going to get there.
Yep.
Right? It's like flying blind. You're just going around in circles.
Yep.
But so we talk about pay and we talk about benefits and we talk about this and we talk about that. Technician's plight has nothing to do with fucking money.
No.
It has to do with vision and destination and where are you going in life?
Yeah.
Right? Well, I'll just always be a technician. Great. You could be a fucking trainer. You could be an educator. You could be... But you're so fucking short-sighted that all you can do is blame the industry? That you can't get the fuck out of your own goddamn way? No, fuck you, man. Sorry. I hate it for you. That's your fault.
Yeah.
That's not anybody else's fault.
Yeah. I know.
And so if you don't imagine where you're going, if you don't sit down and plan out your life and say, here's where I want to be, you got nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
That's right.
Our boss is shitty? Yeah, sure. Our shop shitty? Yeah, sure. Mine can be shitty. I don't pay what I should pay. I don't always treat my employees the best they should be treated. I don't always get it right.
Yeah.
But every day I wake up and try and do a little bit better than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, Tim Kite says that the definition of excellence, the definition of great, is just a little bit better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. When you talk about you weren't even surviving, we're all surviving. But now the goal for me is like, I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive.
Yeah.
And thrive is still just perception. If one thing better happened today than it did yesterday, I'm thriving, man. And everyone else, you might not even see the difference. It's the same another day for me. For me, if it's like, I finally got over that difficult thing I had a truck that was kicking my ass at the shop. Kicking my butt. Not because, like, it was hard to solve. I created the problem when it was done. It was my rushing to try and get the job done. Then I put a pry bar in there to push a line in, and I cut a wire. And the wire was in a spot that after it was all done, I had to take the front diff back out. I had to take the engine mount out. I had to take all to get the starter motor wire fixed. It took me longer to fix what I broke or caused than what the original repair was supposed to be. Now, I can sit there and say that I got in there with a pry bar and tried to do it because it was a 6.5 hour job, and after 2 hours on Thursday afternoon with the shops about to close, they're asking me if it was going to be done that day. And I can make that excuse that guy spun me into a situation, a headspace. That all isn't his fault.
No.
It's my fault. I still was the one that he wasn't working on the truck. It was me. But that plays in my head.
Yeah.
On repeat. You dumbass.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. If you knew the conversations I had with myself, where I was upset over somebody else, I was upset over what somebody said or did, and I said to myself, dude, you were being such a little bitch. Because, like, if you wanted to win, if you really wanted to be successful, if you wanted to make this work, you'd quit being a little bitch and letting them run the show. Because they don't even know they're running the damn show.
But the baggage that I carry is I'm contriving in my mind, as I'm trying to fix that truck, this is going to be it. He's going to come and talk to me. He's going to say, what happened? And I'm going to either lose my cool and get upset and defend myself, or what I'm thinking I'm defending myself, or he's going to sit me down and say, that shit can't happen.
I mean, we have those conversations all the time, and they're words.
Yeah,
they're conversations. It's not, you know. I think about Rodney Carrington, and he talks about the where it's a skit he calls Hypochondriac, and he talks about his grandpa. He says, "Hey, grandpa, what's that on your ear?" And he said, "Oh, it's just a little cancer, right? Yeah, whatever, right?" And he says, "Well, you can't just have a little cancer. Like that's a big deal." Nah, man. Like, when you learn that the things that happen in life and how we respond to them are what dictates your trajectory, buddy, you stop making these dumbass decisions to get emotionally wound up.
Yeah. And a decision is a response to what we contrive in our head.
Yeah.
That's what it is. All the things that I've been struggling with you and talking about, it's in my head. He hasn't sat me down and said, you're screwing up. You got to stop. I'm creating that all in my head because of the pressure that I put on myself.
Yes, but in the same respect, what is success and how is it defined? And so for you, the big thing is like, okay, as a shop owner, what do I have to do? I have to be successful, okay? Because that's how I pay my people more. That's how I devise a business plan that's sustainable, that works, that takes care of the clients, that takes care of the people, right? Takes care of the employees. And so I have to have a plan that's sustainable, okay? And to do that, the business has to make money. Now, it's really, really simple, okay? Like, when you finally figure the numbers out and you lay it out, you can pay your technician 30% of the labor rate. Now, it's not the door rate, it's the effective labor rate. If you don't understand what that means, you need to figure it out. And people say, well, we used to get paid 50%. Oh, you poor thing. Let me tell you something. You're getting paid 50% right now.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you're getting 30 at the shop that you're at, that means you're getting 50% of the labor rate. Okay? Well, how is that? Well, did you not know that your employer pays taxes for you?
Yeah.
On top of the part that you pay? Did you not know that they had to pay a payroll company? Did you not know that they had workers' comp? Did you not know, because of all the penalties and all the things that are placed on businesses today, if they pay you 30% of their labor rate, they're taking 50% of everything they make for every dollar that you generate, and they're giving it to you.
Yep.
Okay? One way or another. Now, on the other side of that, obviously, we have service advisors and managers, and all that money has to come out of that pie. So I have to have technicians who can produce a certain amount of hours to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And it's not just about me. And it's not about me taking money and stuffing it in my pocket. It's about it takes this much money for the business to survive, to continue to give you these opportunities so you can make what you make or more, and we're constantly trying to go in this direction to give you more.
Yeah. Yep.
But if all you can focus on is how it's not fair and it's not right and it's this and it's that, or, hey, he might come and yell at me and tell me I did this thing wrong and this and that. No, man. It's because you're focused on the wrong thing. It's because you're not focused on the desired outcome. Now, if you don't know what the desired outcome is, that's your boss's fault.
Yep.
If you know what the desired outcome is and you're not focused on it, that's your fault. Because if your focus is, hey, they've told me I need to produce 8 hours a day. Okay, how do I get there? Well, I'm not there. This isn't working. Hey, there's an issue with the shop. Okay, let's have a meeting. Let's start talking about how we can resolve this one thing, and let's fix this one thing, Cecil the bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pull this one brick out of the wall, and let's start tearing this wall down one by one. Have to deal with one thing, get rid of it, fix it, speed things up, make things more profitable. Okay, now let's go to the next brick. And step by step by step, we're part of the solution, and we stop feeling like we're part of the problem.
Yep.
But if you don't have a destination, if you don't know the shop's destination, you don't have a personal destination. Because that end point, when I started coaching with Rick, one of the first things he did is he kept saying, hey, you need a destination, you need a destination, you need a destination, you need a destination, you need a destination. And he kept making me, write it down. And time again, he would be like, no, that's not it. What the fuck you talking about, man? You said you want my destination. I'm telling you what my destination is. And he says, no, it's wrong. What are you effing serious? He's like, no, you got to be able to smell it. You got to be able to hear it. You got to be able to taste it. You got to be able to see it. And so now this trajectory is, this is where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Takes years to plan it. It's not something that happens overnight. I just want to be this. Takes years to plan.
Yeah.
And then you begin to understand the steps you have to take to build the stairs and tear down the wall to get where you're going in life.
It's hard, though, eh? It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard. I fight and struggle every day to not let the voices in my head, you know this, you just were talking about it, to drown out the voices that are telling me to keep going to where I have my destination.
It is hard, but we have to remember that much of that is emotion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And emotion does not do any good for anybody ever,
Yep.
right? We have to be able to slow the emotions down, have to be able to slow the thoughts down, have to be able to have focus. And so if you don't have the destination, it becomes exponentially harder to focus on the long run. It becomes exponentially harder to focus on the long game because all you can focus on is right now.
Yep.
Right? And so I might take 10 steps back in one day, okay? My shop is a giant shit show right now. Do you know my effective labor rate for service hour is in the 90s right now, right? For available hours, the number of hours that are in the shop, my labor rate right now is in the 90s, right? My door rate's in the 150s.
Yeah.
And because our production is in a mess right now. But you know what? It's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fine. We know we took steps back, and we're going to start taking steps back forward. We're going to start going in a different direction. We're going to start climbing back up.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know what that direction was, if I didn't know where I was going, guess what I wouldn't be doing? I'd be freaking the fuck out. Oh my God, it's all falling apart. But no, that's not an option. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to live or I'm going to die. The business is going to thrive or the business is going to fail. I choose to say failure is not an option. Death is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going somewhere.
Yep.
No emotion to be involved. It's a single decision. This is where I'm going.
Yep.
Let's go. Well, that didn't work. Fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Do you seriously, once you put yourself in the boat compared to the shop?
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God, he's going to yell at me. Okay, well, you cast your line into the water, and the fish doesn't bite or snaps the hook off the end of the line. You just turn around and go back to the shore and get out of the boat and say, fuck it, I'm never doing this again.
No, I don't.
Right? It'd be stupid. Because it doesn't accomplish what you're coming to accomplish. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
But how often do we do that in life?
Oh.
Because we don't have a pathway. We don't know where we're going.
Yeah. Every day. Because I know that, like, if I'm just going to gear back up again, that fish lives there. It's still there. That opportunity is still sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
But in my own head, all I can think about is, fuck, I fucked that up. I screwed that up.
Oh, you ever, George, tell me, have you ever felt that way before?
Lots of times. And he's talking about the shop, and we have 2 or 3 meetings a day. And what I
that would stress
really
me.
like about him is, he asks for any ideas or changes that they want to try. He's open to do any of that. Like, it's not just, oh, this is my way, or you know what I mean. He's all about correcting it whatever way everybody feels.
See, meetings stress me.
Why?
Because it's not a case of being challenged. It's a situation of, it's like, I want immediate change. I want immediate reaction. When I bring you an idea,
But
I want to see it implemented now.
I have no issue with that, okay? I have no issue with that. But if we simply jump in and make a decision and move in a direction and we say, hey, this was Jeff's idea. Let's do this. Okay, well, we have to vet the idea. We have to develop a process. We have to put some stuff on paper. We have to understand how it affects other people. We have to consider a lot of things. And then we talk about it, and then we try it. Okay? We try it 5 times. It takes 5 to 10 times just to figure out if it's going to even remotely be viable, right? And so here we go. Oh, no, it's Braxton. This just turned into a giant. I mean, since Princess is here, do I have to stop cussing?
That's entirely between you and him.
Lucas, did you talk to the AV guy?
No,
Did you
you were
get things
supposed to
figured
be there.
out?
No, you were supposed to be there.
You're supposed to be talking to them. I'm not supposed to be talking
Turn
to
his
them.
mic on. No, he's 4, I think. Yeah, he's 4. Push 4 up there. Actually,
What are you
Jesse,
doing in here? You're supposed to be doing other things, not talking on a podcast.
Jesse is asking you to come down there right away, please.
She didn't talk to me.
Well, she doesn't
How
have
do
your
you know?
telephone
You're on
number.
a podcast right now.
I'm checking my text messages.
Are you?
Yeah, it's kind of this show thing. I can tell you don't have headphones on, but you don't realize there's a proximity effect issue.
Oh yeah. How about now?
That's much
Is that
better.
Much better.
For a radio.
We don't have
guy to not
headphones. Well,
know.
no. This is not a radio issue. This is let's turn the microphones really low, and because it'll pick up other stuff.
What a sassy little.
Oh man, he between bougie, he's like our little bougie bitch and our little princess. Okay, he's our little princess. He's very emotional.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
working on him. Like, he's growing. You know,
That skin's getting thick.
I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn.
I
We'll
can't
see
see
where he
that at
gets.
all.
I'm telling you.
I'm good with stubborn. I'm familiar with stubborn. Well, I want to thank everybody for sitting down here. And
Hey, how many minutes do we have in? We have to do at least an hour.
we're 112 right now.
Oh, shit. No wonder he's coming in fussing.
Yeah, I mean, what's next going on in here?
10 o'clock appointment.
Yeah, Jeff has another podcast to record in like 15
This
minutes.
is my busy day sitting here in Jimmy Lee's borrowed jacket.
I don't
It
want
looks
to know
good,
what
man.
you did in that jacket last night.
I didn't get it till this morning. I tried it on yesterday, and we decided Jimmy Lee.
I mean, I knew he had some real funky hair gel, but I didn't know we were talking about something about Mary. I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, I didn't
But
know that.
I looked at that. He sat down here yesterday morning. And I complimented him on the jacket. And I said, "That's a good looking jacket. I should really borrow that for tomorrow." And I was just joking. He's like, "You want it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I let him have it the rest of the day because it was part of his ensemble, and he brought it to me this morning.
I guess the good news is the pages won't be sticking together when he gets it back.
Yeah. So when I get up there for the round table happening in a very short period of time from now,
Oh, I gotta introduce you, don't I?
yeah, I'm excited about that.
The introduction?
No, the round table.
I am too.
Yeah. Everybody's like, "You nervous?" I'm not nervous. Look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up there and talk about this the way I always talk about it.
You know what I'm nervous about? I'm nervous about having to stand in the back of the room with George and Braxton waving my arms trying to say it's past 2 hours and these people have just been sitting here the whole time.
This is not a Jaded Mechanic podcast. You got to stop at some point, Jeff.
They'll
Hey,
come up with
people
the
are
hook,
hungry.
right?
It's
The old
dinner
hook.
time.
Well, you know, Braxton calls me sometimes and he's like, hey, listen, I've got a situation. Okay. Jeff recorded for 4 hours, and I don't know. to break this up? Like, I can get the 2-hour thing down. How do I break a 4-hour podcast up?
Oh gosh, yeah.
I don't know. Has it ever gone 4?
No.
Some of them
listen.
They're
Okay.
kicking close to 3.
Every time Lucas says something,
You can take
divide
2 off
it
of
by
it.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and I have been friends for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
right.
met on Facebook. We've been friends for 40 years.
That's exactly
Every
right.
time I talk
Yep,
to
we doubled
Jeff
that.
and Lucas about their relationship, the first time I ever heard your story, this is 10 years ago.
Dude.
2 weeks later, you said, 20 years ago
No,
we met.
hey,
So
here's the
now it's
thing.
been 30.
No,
but-
here's the thing is, like, you're exactly right, because when we talked about that, I'm like, 10 years is right? Like, 10 years is right.
No, it's longer.
And so I went and I looked it up, and the first message I got from him was almost 16 years ago. And so I'm like,
But
holy
you can
shit, that's
just
close
round it
to
up to 20. Just round it up.
Yeah.
4
Well, that's
years, who
I
cares?
said almost 20
It's
years.
You said
Technicians
20.
always round up. We don't round down.
Yeah, exactly, especially on our hours.
That's right. Well, I'm excited. I got to thank you all for bringing me here again.
Yeah, of course.
This has been pretty sweet. So, George, as always, man, I love you.
I even hired a little princess to take care of
And
me.
he is
That's
a
right.
fantastic young man. He really is.
Here we
Yeah.
go. About time somebody
He
give me a
is,
little pat
like-
on the back.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the first thing I said to him? He said, "Shit, he's taller than I thought he would be." And I'm like, "He's a good-looking man. I can say that.
You are pretty boy.
He is pretty.
Appreciate
yeah.
that. That's right.
But we had a good talk, him and I, last night, and it got really deep, really quick.
yeah, it did.
And because just like George, he comes out with the big topics right away.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I feel better now talking to him like I do when I talk to you, because it's like, I'm always in my head. I got to understand how something works. I got to
Yeah.
understand what, and you remind me, we're not to know it all.
Yeah, that's right. You can't know it all. Can't.
exactly
You'd
right.
blow up if you knew it all.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
All right.
I love you all.
Good
We'll
day,
talk to you
guys.
soon. Thank you. Hey, if you could do me a favor real quick and like, comment on, and share this episode, I'd really appreciate it. And please, most importantly, set the podcast to automatically download every Tuesday morning. As always, I'd like to thank our amazing guests for their perspectives and expertise, and I hope that you'll please join us again next week on this journey of change. Thank you to my partners in the ASA group and to the Changing the Industry podcast. Remember what I always say, in this industry, you get what you pay for. Here's hoping everyone finds their missing 10mm, and we'll see you all again next time.